Hey.
Hi, Akshay. Hi, Chaitanya, Chandana. There are two Chandanas, I believe. Balaji, Akshay, Kashish, Achekar, Sahil, Sarthak, Sudnarayan, Abhigna. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Suyash, Cinderella. Okay, that's a interesting name. Ujjwal, Dipankar, Rajat, Kuldeep, Madhuri, Rishika. iPhone, we have one iPhone amongst us. It's Manish trying to join in. There's Vinota. Okay, there's a whole lot. Okay, I'll pause this activity. Great to have all of you here. I think what will make this already amazing session a little more amazing is seeing some more faces apart from two of us. So those who have good network, I believe nowadays everybody has good network. Please switch on your cameras. It's going to be much more fun to have this conversation with faces clearly visible. Who is going to do that first? Preetham? आपको मिलता है special prize. Hi. Okay. It'll be great if more of you switch on camera. Trust me, it's a much better exercise.
I think people are shy on a Sunday evening.
Oh yeah. Don't be shy. Hi.
Come on, everyone. Open up your cameras. I'm sure you're all looking well, presentable. Don't worry.
It's Sunday morning for me. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, where are you based, Sejal?
I'm in New York.
Oh, nice. Nice
meeting everyone. Hello.
Same here. Hi, Ujjwal. Ujjwal, you know I am Lucknow too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else? Who wants to switch on the cameras? Please do that. So this is going to be the regular work life for all of us, right? Cameras. So I've accepted it and I've now become presentable all the time. So I've taken that as a way of life going forward. And you have to be presentable all the time, and your background should be presentable all the time. Because you never know when you have to switch on. So accept that and switch on the cameras. Sejal, Preetham, Vineet, Akshay, and me. So we are the only ones who are going to be seen. Rest of them, we have their photos to extrapolate how they are reacting right now. Hi, Surya. Awesome. So,
Good morning.
this is large enough group to go to Goa, so I think let's start with this. So welcome everyone. In this session, we plan to unearth a lot of concepts, a lot of questions, a lot of doubts, a lot of myths around MBA and the relationship of MBA with product management. Seriously, the number of times people have asked me that question right from the day I started doing product management, and later on became a little more vocal about product management as a role way back before product management was seen beyond what a project manager does in India. The number of times it was asked to me, I wish I thought maybe I should just do an MBA and say, and perhaps that will help people understand. Doing an MBA is not that critical. It helps, but it helps in very specific ways. So pros and cons and how you can use that to navigate the product management world going forward. I think that's what we're going to cover in the next 40, 45 minutes, 40, 45 minutes roughly. We actually have had two presenters, two speakers, Akshay and Vitan. But unfortunately, Vitan is stuck with some medical emergency. No points for guessing what that emergency could be. So we hope that he recovers fast. He and his family recovers fast. So it's me and Akshay. So Akshay has a very interesting background coming from BD. Am I right, Akshay? Coming from business development, moving to product management. And in between, he did an executive MBA program, 1 year program from ISB. And during that time, as crazy as it might sound, he also did our program. How he manages his time, he is here, you can ask him. But uh, he, along with a bunch of other ISB grads, ISB and IM grads, they were able to not just balance their time, but they were also able to get a good outcome after the program. So if they were doing MBA from such an elite program, what was the need for what was the need for pragmatic leaders? Number one. Number two, why did he decide product management in the first place, coming from a business development background? So we'll be answering a lot of these questions in the next 45 minutes. To kick off, let's do a quick warm up. Akshay.
Hey.
So now you are a product manager.
Yep.
And the basic expectation from every product manager is to be able to answer questions all the time without any preparation. So I have a rapid fire for you.
Do I get a Karan Johar gift basket also?
I have a hajmola right now.
चलो ठीक है उसी से काम चला लेते हैं अभी. Please go ahead.
So now that you're a product leader, so as a product leader, what word do you love listening to or hearing?
It's actually not a word, it's a sentence, and it's an inside joke. PMs love to listen when engineers say tech bandwidth is available. So I always love it when you go to engineer with the specs and they say, "Oh, we have tech bandwidth available for you," and you're like, "Your day is made."
Those who are not able to relate with that joke, do comment, do put in the chat. Would you rather build an MVP or MDP? MDP means most desirable product. Desirable product might take much longer.
See, in my opinion, MDP is equivalent to an MVP. It's kind of like a double-sided thing because if you don't create something that is desirable, what's the point of creating a most viable product, right? So for me, it's almost the same. I don't know the particular difference, but obviously the leanings have to be more towards what customers want, right? If it's in your head and you create something nobody wants, then it's no point. So obviously MDP, but for me, MDP is equivalent to MVP, more or less.
Right. So I use something. So I say something like most valuable product. Also, when it says MVP, if it's not valuable for your initial set of customers, which is like a small set of people, it's very unlikely to be valuable for the rest of the audience.
Yeah. Correct.
When did you last talk with your customers?
Last week itself, because currently where I'm working on a B2B2C type product. So obviously my customer is also a B2B customer. So last week only I was having a chat with one of them to understand again. It's very critical, and I'm giving long answers to these short rapid fires because I want people to understand why it's important to talk. Because if you're talking, yeah, because it's very important to talk to, and because I'm recently also moved into InMobi, so it's very important to talk to my customers to understand their challenges. And right now, I'm more in the sponge state where I'm absorbing more information than giving back. So the learning stage is very important to ask the right questions to your customers.
Absolutely, absolutely. So FYI, talking to your customers at least once a week or once in 2 weeks is very critical. Of course, your frequency can be adjustable, but whether you are a VP or you are the APM, nothing justifies not talking to the customer. What's your go-to product management tool? Is there a tool that you use day in, day out?
See, typically, most of your work is done on Excel, but I personally use a tool called Notion. Notion is I would call it a multifaceted note-taking tool, but it has a lot of features. So it's an amalgamation of Evernote, OneNote, Excel, presentation, and it helps me write down my specs, my thoughts, my, whatever I'm gathering data from customers. Like I said, we talk to customers, there's so many points coming in. For me, recording that is very essential at the right time, because that's what I have to refer to when I'm working on the problem solution stage. So for me, Notion, Notion, is a fantastic tool. I recommend it to everyone, regardless they're an MBA student or they're a product manager.
Yeah, Notion is a Swiss knife, by the way. It
Yeah,
takes a bit of
Swiss
time
knife.
to get, it takes a bit of time to get around and really understand the mental model behind how Notion works. But once you get it, it's very hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
You'll not be satisfied with anything else. Look, when you hire people, especially now that you're in that position again to hire PMs maybe or some other people, I hope everybody's listening. What do you look for?
I don't know how many people of you are watching Shark Tank. It's something the Anupam said on Shark Tank, which I really relate to. An entrepreneur should have jigar, junoon, and jugaad. So passion and the ability to think on your feet is so important. Yeah, but between them, passion, or the crazy passion to be able to solve problems is something which is required, and not many people have that. So that's a product manager is not for everyone, because you really have to have that passion to be able to crack unsolvable problems. And that's why Jugaad, Junoon, and what it is last one, Jugaad, Junoon, and
Yeah.
Jigger is very important for a good product manager, in my opinion.
By the way, so Anupam Mittal, amongst all the sharks, I've not been watching Shark Tank, I'm not been able to keep up, but Anupam Mittal is an amazing person to follow. Amongst all the sharks, I can easily, I've worked with almost all of them. Anupam was one of my previous investors. He's amazing. His insights are very astute, very bang on.
Yeah,
Very good eye on a lot of things.
correct.
Okay. A very common question which is asked to me, and I'm going to pass that back to you. Early PMs, or when you're trying to break into PM, would you recommend joining a startup or a large organization?
See, everyone wants to get into what people call FANG, or now it's called, I think, MANG, because metaverse, Facebook has become metaverse. But joining startups has a lot of advantages, because you get to work on different things and you get to wear different hats. And in my previous role in Magic Bricks, I did a lot of that. So I wouldn't call Magic Bricks an absolute startup, but it was a startup culture and a startup. Even InMobi, Glance, where I'm currently working, is a startup culture. And so you have to think on your feet, you have to wear multiple hats, you have to try different things. Unlike maybe working in a big company, we're really working on one slice of a experience. It could be just like e-com portal में cart page में वो cart को ऐसे optimize करना है so that drop-offs now. You'll be working on such a small thing, but if you work on startups, you'll be working probably on the whole flow. So early stage, if you have a more broader horizon, I think it really helps you in your later part of your career journey. So it's always better to pull your sleeves up and really get into like a startup-ish company in the early days.
I typically correlate this with the first year of college. So in first year of college, if you dig into pretty much every single club and do something of everything, you'll figure out what not to do, and as well as you learn a lot about yourself. Right? Otherwise, we usually do not have any laundry list of what not to do or what you want to do. So as long as you have one of these lists sorted, what not to do or what to do, you're good. Right? So doing a startup does give you that sense, because you'll be asked and pulled into pretty much everything that you can. You can be pulled into. Right. Last question. As a product manager, you are always pulled into two directions, because we're talking about pulling. One is meeting deadlines, release कब हो रहा है, release कब हो रहा है, release कब हो रहा है, and product perfection, your own desire to ensure that the quality of product is amazing. How do you balance? What's your priority?
this is such a difficult answer to give because ये हमेशा आएगा regardless of any role. Let's forget product management. Any role you have, there will be quality versus quantity. That's the age-old question. Obviously, I try to balance both. But obviously that's why MVPs as a concept have come up because really can't do everything you want at day zero, right? That's why you
Right.
create an MVP or a MDP, like a minimum desirable product, and then you balance. That's why it's a balancing act. I can't say you have to do either or. I think in the gray area is somewhere you'll have to figure out with your management and do a release. So I don't know if that's a correct answer to give, but gray
What's
area
your
is where
priority?
हाँ
What's your
priority.
priority?
या अगर मेरे से पूछोगे तो obviously होगा product perfection because obviously I want to be like a Picasso and release a product which everyone loves. But in the end, I also report to a management, right? And there are certain deadlines to meet. So that's why balancing act
Correct.
comes. You can't really have it both ways.
Correct. So I think there is no right and wrong answer in this particular question. It depends
Yeah,
on
it's the
our
famous "it
company.
depends" answer that I'm giving you. It depends.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it depends on कि आग किधर लगी हुई है. If
हाँ
delivery is
आग
much more
कितना लगी है
important.
seriously.
And,
There will be
yeah,
projects actually that you will work on where you will be given the leeway. Like I have worked on projects in Magic, so I was given leeway. Time tension मत ले. तू बस मुझे एक initial जो plan बनेगा
हाँ,
that has to be perfect. And then you have that mental mind space to really experiment and come up with like a crazy plan. But then sometimes you'll say,
yeah,
I need this fixed within 2 days. जो करना है करो. बाकी सब
correct.
drop कर दो. So that will happen. In fact, I see one of my colleagues from Magic Bricks also. Hi, Sabrant. Sabrant can relate to this answer which I was just giving. So, Sabrant, there was a question in rapid fire which Talwinder is asking me between product perfection versus meeting deadlines. I was like, PM तो हमेशा बोलेगा product perfection चाहिए, but वो जब management की सब बात होती है तो timelines ही होती है बात.
Practical
A
one.
perfect
It's not
product
always.
is a very late launch. If you launch a product
हाँ.
perfect, then you are late.
But sometimes you do get. So he and I worked on a project in PG where we were trying to revamp PG in Magic Bus, and we really were given a lot of time to figure out the initial bit, and that's what led
Yeah,
to a very
true.
good launch. So sometimes happens. Sorry, Sabrand, I pulled you in.
No.
So if I have to,
True,
so
like
if I have to summarize, sorry, go on,
Go
Subra.
ahead, Talwinder. Yeah.
The round robin हो गया. So to summarize this point, I think if we have not confused you guys enough, at the end of the day, product perfection or meeting deadline, there will always be deadlines irrespective of whatever the management says. They have some deadlines in mind, there will always be deadlines. Number one, product perfection takes endless amount of time. And like Sabran said, a perfect product is launched very late. Typically, you will start with something, you will launch with something that you know for sure, and you launch and you will have to iterate. So product perfection is, you can avoid. Meeting deadlines is typically what meeting deadlines basically starts giving you an idea of what will be the closest to perfection product that you can launch today.
Yeah, that's where MVP comes in. Correct.
That's where the MVP kind of comes in. Okay, so with this not so rapid round, let's jump into the crux of today's call, which is.
Did I get the Hajmola?
Yes.
Hello, good.
Some tablets are mine.
Okay, take it. Done.
So the first, like I think something that will set the tone for the rest of the conversation. So how did you get into PM after doing your MBA from ISB?
So in Magic Bricks, I was part of the CEO's office. So one of my biggest priority on my agenda and has been part of that office was to work on the new projects for the company or launching new vertical lines or revamping existing product lines. And that required me to work very closely with all the teams, whether it be the product teams or the UX teams or the tech teams to figure out the way forward. So a lot of the product strategy, I was involved in a lot of the building blocks time, right? And I realized this is something I really enjoy doing. And after speaking to friends and colleagues like Sabrant here, I understood that this is very close to product management. This is the career line I wanted to get into. Now, what I also needed was I did my MBA a good 10 years ago, like in 2008, I graduated from my bachelor's, and I knew that I need to refresh my knowledge. And so, with that in mind, I knew that I'm in a perfect role, and I knew that if I do an MBA along with my role, I'll be able to really be able to use that knowledge day in, day out in my work. And that did actually happen. And post that, of course, I realized while doing the general management program that an MBA equips you to become a generalist, right? And that's what you will hear a lot when you're doing an MBA. You will become a jack of all trades. You will be taught finance, you'll be taught operations, you'll be taught economics, you will be taught marketing, strategy. But it's not for any one domain. Now, when you're trying to get into certain domains, there are certain technical things that you need to know in that domain, or you need to build that type of mindset. And that's where I figured that while I'm doing this MBA, I need to also do a program like pragmatic, to be able to fill those gaps in, so that whenever I move into a full PM role, I have my MBA and pragmatic to bring it all together as a whole package. And yeah, that's pretty much how I moved into product management full time, from being in product strategy, more or less.
Got it. So why, I mean, the typical question that is asked is, I'm in the final year of MBA. Why should I move to PM role? So in your case, you got the exposure while
Yeah.
working with in the CEO's office, that this is the kind of work that a PM also does, and it seems like something that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Right? So there are a string of questions that come for a typical final year candidate, final year MBA student. Why should I move to a PM role? I have about 3 months. So what should I do to pick up those skills? There are a bunch of courses out there which are self-paced. There are videos out there you can go through. There are sessions like this that you can go through, etc. So what should I do to pick up the skills, not the knowledge, the skills? Will I be able to get a hike above my salary, my last salary? And should I go for it? Because will I get a decent salary given that there's a decent amount of education loan on me? So it's a string of questions. You start answering, I'll ask the rest of
I
the
mean,
questions.
there are multiple components. So I'll take the first one, which is why should I get into product management? Product management, just like any other career, has a certain skill sets that you need as a person to be able to excel. Obviously, not every job is meant for everyone, right? Otherwise, there will be only be product managers, but there will not be anything else, right? So, a lot of times, I get a lot of questions asked by a lot of prospective students, both full time and exec. Is product management for me? And I always tell them, first you'll have to kind of introspect and understand, do you have that mindset? And a lot of people call it the product mindset. Earlier, it was also called the consultative mindset, because the whole idea is that you're absorbing a lot of information in your head, you're putting it all together in articulation, and then you're bringing it out. So you need, it's about, in my head, I call it the 3 Ps. It's about people, process, and product. That's what you need. And I'll just touch upon each of these three. When I say people, a PM, typical PM is a nodal in a company. A nodal means he's the guy who will be a midpoint in the company. He'll have to work with everyone. So if you think of a wheel, there is a middle of the wheel, right? A spoke. So you will be that person in the middle, and everybody else is who will be working with you. So you'll be gathering a lot of data from market research, or you'll be getting a lot of details from marketing. But then you'll have to absorb the information and then again work with designs to understand what is the user flow that we need to work on. Then you'll have to test that flow and see if this is what his users want. Then you'll go to engineering and you'll figure out, how do we launch this? Do we have the enough bandwidth to be able to launch this? Obviously, then you'll have to break it down into a roadmap, and then start with the MVP, and then slowly keep on adding. And of course, the cycle keeps on continuing, right? And this is a lot of stuff you have to do. And not all of these people are reporting to you. Actually, none of them will report into you, because there'll all be different teams in the organization, and you're the nodal point to work in the middle. So people skills are very important for a product manager. If you have those type of skills, or you feel that you can inculcate those skills or build those skills, definitely, this is one point that you should think about. Second is process. A PM also has to be a very process-oriented person. That is why in the past, a lot of product management has also been compared with project management. There is some overlap, not at all whole. Don't assume all project managers will become product managers, but it's the mindset. A project manager has a very like a mindset which can build blocks and put everything together, because you get a lot of things happening at the same time, and you will have to move through that very smoothly, right? So process orientation, or someone with a mindset who can work with multiple hats or in chaos, is where a product manager succeeds. So a product manager has to go look at the chaos and make it into something which is manageable. And last is, of course, product thinking. Product thinking, as I said, it's about being that creative muscle to be able to solve problems for consumer and come up with solutions which are viable, right? And because in the end, why are you there for the company? You are there for the company to help them, let's say, increase some metric, whether it be monetization metrics, whether it be revenue or anything like that, or it could be other metrics like traffic or retention or engagement, etc. You are there to solve, and that's what you'll do. So that's the three P's mindset you'll have to work on. A lot of people can, of course, look at various psychometric tests to be able to understand what type of skill sets I have. I remember I did something called a Clifton strengths test in my MBA, which gives you your top 5 strengths, and it tells you what those strengths mean. I suggest if you want to do that, it's a paid thing. Okay, it's not a free thing. You have to pay a minimum. I think I don't remember 1200 rupees. I think kuch tha, I don't remember the fees now. And you do that test. It's a 45-minute test where they ask you many questions, and they'll give you some result which talks about this is your personality type. If those personality types are something that you think are more around product management, as I said, the people, process, and product, definitely then you can start thinking in that direction. But if it's not, and you're like a very introvert, or you feel like I can't handle so many people, or I can't speak to so many people, don't worry. I mean, in the end, there are multiple roles for different type of personalities and different type of people. But that's what it takes to be a product manager. Now, if you are in your final few terms in an MBA, that was the second part, right, Talvinder?
Yeah, I think the first question, just to be get the answer straight. So why should you move to a PM role? I think it comes down to what you really need from your career. Right?
Of course.
Right? And what you thrive in, or you believe you will thrive in. So if you want to be the person who is responsible for the key value that a company is creating, right? You're not a consumer of the value. That somebody else is moving the company ahead, and you are just a passenger in that entire journey, and you are okay with that. I don't want to take additional tension. Why should I take this additional pressure of developing something, right? That is your thing. It's perfectly okay. There's nothing right or wrong in this, right? You need passengers to drive things as well. So it's very similar to those old school rowboats, Pirates of the Caribbean type boats, right? There's a captain, and then you have a bunch of people who are rowing the boat. So you need all of them, but you also need a captain, and each one has their own job. So anyway, so why should you move to PM role? It gives you good salaries. I think that's a reason enough when you have such big loans. So reason one is very good salary. Second, very good satisfaction of job, because it's a different delight. You talk to any product manager, whether the person became accidentally a PM or somebody who became a PM and then transitioned to something else out, they will always talk very passionately about whatever they did. It failed, it succeeded, doesn't matter. They will always talk very passionately about it because it's such a fun job to do. You are given some random data points that something is happening, or blah 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 is not happening. Can you fix it? And you are like, you are the person for that CEO or for that business team that, okay, Akshay is working on it. He will fix it, right? It's a different high, and especially when you have no idea of how you're going to solve it in the first place. It's a very satisfying job. And number three, I believe it's a job which has endless possibilities. So it allows you to venture out into a bunch of different roles. Eventually, if you really want to venture out, it's the only job which gives you the maximum exposure to all the business functions in a company. Okay, it will tell you everything about everything. You will learn about sales, marketing, ops, things that are working, things that are not working. How much are the customers actually happy and everything else under the sun. So because of that, if eventually you want to launch a company of your own, I think being a PM is like the best thing to do. Okay, number one. Number two, eventually, if you want to do something else, okay, which could be I want to be a consultant, I want to be, I don't know, I want to get into ops or strategy. Again, being a PM gives you that exposure that you will be able to do that role very well as well. So it's an amazing skill set that way. There's a reason why most of the CEOs, non-founder CEOs of technology companies were product managers earlier. Okay, there's a reason. Pick all of them. Pick any one of them. Technology companies. Pick any one of them. They were all product managers. Sundar Pichai se lekar Satya Nadella se lekar. Pick anyone. Not just the popular ones. Pick the non-popular ones also. Right? Almost all of them were product managers. There's a reason for that because they were the ones who drove the value of the company, and so that they had the most exposure about every single function of the company. So when the time came, they were the right people. Just like in FMCG companies, which is very popular in MBA colleges, in FMCG companies, non-founder CEOs usually come from sales or marketing, usually sales. Because in those companies, sales people are the ones who have the most exposure about everything that is happening. Right? Anupam Mittal was also PM. ये मुझे नहीं पता था. So,
मुझे नहीं पता.
अच्छी बात है. Okay, so that was the first question. So why should somebody move to PM role? You get everything under the sun. But like Akshay said, it's on all the plus side, the negative side is that it's a chaotic job. It is a chaotic job, and no 2 days are going to be the same. So some people thrive in that. Some people thrive in not having 2 same days, but at the same time, some people prefer a certain routine. I've come here, I've come to the office, I have a set task to finish, I'll do that and I'll get to it. Sorry, but that is not what you can expect in PM. That is very unlikely. That is happening. Maybe it's time to look for another job because the company is going to fire you. That is the reason why they're not giving you anything else. Okay. The second question in that series was, so for a typical MBA student who has like 3 months before I got 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, 4 months, whatever, what should they do to pick up the right skills to be a PM?
So I think students have great opportunities to pick up the right skill sets. I don't know about which college you guys are all representing. I saw someone from IIM Lucknow here. So in ISV, there were a lot of clubs, right? There was a product management club, for example. And one of the things the product management club did really well was to, of course, introduce people to product management. Just like we are having a discussion here, what is product management? What does it mean? Is it for me? There were, of course, these sessions like that in the university product management clubs also. Plus, they also gave a lot of these case competitions, and sometimes even companies come to colleges. Like an Amazon will go and say, "Hey, I want to do a case comp for product leaders, future product leaders." In your college, and there will be those type of case competitions. Plus, product management's um, case studies itself or interview prep are also something in colleges. But if you look at your typical MBA case studies, what are you trying to solve there? There also you are inculcating problem solving techniques, right? Of course, that is limited to the subject if you're being taught at the moment. You might be taught a market research subject, and maybe you're doing a Netflix case, for example. So you're obviously looking at from a very particular close mindset कि okay, market research point of view से मुझे इस case study को analyze और solve करना है. Various frameworks or formulas will have to be used to give the end result. But why not look at from a different perspective also? Because you would have done a marketing strategy course, you would have done a product strategy course, you would have done a operations course. Look at from those things and see how same case study that you're solving for that one particular subject can also be solved using the same frameworks that other professors could have also taught you. And also in your alumni network, there'll be enough and many product managers there. Have an opportunity to interact with them to understand where you are right now, and if that is what you want to do, product management, where they can help you fill in those gaps. As I said, the MBA college, if you're all are doing an MBA, or you're doing any other business management course that you're doing, will make you a generalist. But the product management is where you need to make the extra effort. Now, there is an organized and an unorganized way of doing, right? This is unorganized where you try different things, and of course, some solution will be there. And there's of course an organized way of doing, which is something like a pragmatic leader. So you'll have to kind of figure that out. Do you want to do it the unorganized way? Because there's enough resources on the internet. If you go right now on YouTube and type product management, there's enough interview mock prep, case study analysis, guest estimate rounds. This they'll give you the information, but so figure that out. Can you absorb all the information and do it your own way, or do you want to join a specialized program that may be like pragmatic that could help you fill in those gaps? I'm presuming something like a pragmatic will be an acceleration as compared to doing it on your own, but there is no wrong way of doing it. But yes, I believe you should start early. If it's just the last 3 months, there's very less time left for you to be able to pick up those skill sets. So start as soon as possible to at least understand if this is the right role for you. And I'm assuming most MBA students, there was a time when MBA students only wanted to get into consulting. Nowadays, it's a different thing. Now, MBA students only want to get into product management. So definitely, start fast. What do you think, Talwit? Anything else you want to add?
I think there's only one thing I'd like to add, and that is find a peer group within your college, preferably within your college. Of course, now the situation is very different where you are all working, studying remotely. So it's harder to actually connect with your peer group and find a correlation. But finding a peer group who can reinforce and also be your accountability partners, that we are doing this and we're going to do this very well. And sometimes it also helps where you split the topics that you want to discuss, or you want to compete against each other. Healthy competition, that is, that okay, let's learn pricing. Now pricing, for example, in product management, where pricing is a very big and important concept in product management. Now pricing is very tricky, right? You cannot price a product unless you know every nitty-gritty of how the product is, right? The technology cost of it, the business cost of it, the operational cost of it, marketing cost of it, and so on and so forth, right? Unless you know that, you cannot price a product. Now you can utilize, like just like Akshay said, you can just think about what marketing course has taught you about pricing. You can just think about that for a second. Price, what is it? Cost plus pricing and value-based pricing and similar stuff. You can just think about that, or you can go beyond that and start looking at how you define your costs and how you define prices and how you define value. I think those things become very different when you put in the frame of reference of product manager. By the way, frame of references is, for those who remember physics of class 11, 12, frame of references are going to be very helpful, because as a product manager, that is what you'll be constantly moving from. Sometimes from a business stakeholder perspective, from a frame of reference of business stakeholders, sometimes from the perspective of a customer, sometimes from the perspective of your CEO, who might be looking for something else, same product, but they're essentially looking at the same product from a different lens. The metric for each one of them is going to be very different, but you are the one who is the gatekeeper for all the metrics. Slight digression from what Akshay was saying. But yeah, so somebody asked a question, so what skills are needed to build on my resume to get internship? The skills are exactly the same, whether you want to get into internship. So for a first year student, the goal will be to get a product internship. By the way, if you're looking for that, we are hiring. We are more than happy to look at MBA grads who are looking to do internships. We are hiring for that. And for a second year student, will be to find a job. So if you're in the first year, you are at a very good position. You can start right away, find a small peer group with whom you can start practicing a lot of these product concepts together. Yes, there's no right and wrong approach. Figure out what works for you. A program like ours is a decent amount of investment of time and effort, right? It does give its results, but then again, it's something that you should pick up once you have a certain sense of, okay, this is what I would like to do. And if you are unsure of that, feel free to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to my team, and we will be happy to suggest whether the program is going to work for you, not work for you, and in what scenario it will work for you. Yeah. Okay. There is one more question, which I think is very good segue. Uh, Rushi is asking, so is MBA truly needed to be a PM?
I so I don't think so. But again, it depends on where you are applying also. I mean, there are different facets to this answer. There is not a straight answer. Definitely an MBA, at least from a good university, like I did from ISB. And what does there are two things that MBA teaches you, right? One is, of course, it opens doors for you. What it'll do is I get more calls now than I did before I did my MBA. But that's what it does, right? It helps वो दरवाजा खोल देगा. उसके बाद still the person that I am will have to walk through it and be able to go through those rounds of interview and prove myself to be a capable person for the role that I'm applying for, right? And that is also what an MBA does help you. It makes you help you in the transformation. But nevertheless, the transformation can also be done on your own as well. And as I said, we live in an age where information is easy to access. If you do it in an unorganized manner and you sit every day, go through Udemy, Coursera, YouTube, etc., Google. I call Google Mata because there is so much we can learn from Google, but we have to have the time, patience, and energy to be able to keep on searching and finding relevant stuff. So, an MBA or such formalized programs like Pragmatic are accelerants. They are only there to fast track your journey, but definitely you can also do it without one as well. So, but yes, there would be certain companies or at certain positions, whether it be senior level positions or it will be the top maybe 10 tech companies in the world who would prefer people from MBA backgrounds. But that is also something changing because it also depends on the person's capability. But if you look up the newest startups in India, some of them are promoting the non-MBAs also, and asking them to join. So there is a market for everyone. It's just really up to you where you want to go about it. I would always recommend for people who, I think, Richie, you are an engineering student right now, right? Yeah, third year engineering student. I would always recommend you take a gap between your graduation and if and when you want to do a post graduation, because an MBA really adds value when you have a lot of work experience under your belt because concepts become very easy to relate to and understand. I mean, that's a personal bias. Please don't quote me anyway, but I believe always, and that's why I did my MBA almost 10 years, a decade after I did my graduation. That work experience helped me to be able to, understand my MBA concepts better. Rest, of course, is a personal choice.
I'll just add 2, 3 points here. See, MBA student here to be a PM, that's a question to answer about, are you doing it for yourself because you believe by doing an MBA you will be able to gain certain concepts or general, you will be able to mature faster or get wiser faster because you'll get exposed to so many different concepts, so many different people from different walks of life, and which will make you wiser, better, faster, right? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing because the companies are mentioning it in their JD? Right? Do ask yourself that question. If it's for the first reason, do ask what is lacking today and why is it you are not able to do the same outside of MBA, right? If you want a peer network, there are N+1 methods of building that peer network in whatever facet you want to do, right? The craziest, youngest programming language also gets thousands of people following that crazy programming language, right? So it's not too hard to build a peer network that way to gain some ideas about anything for that matter. As regard to companies putting the MBA requirement in their JDs, this happens for 3 reasons. Number one, the company is justified, or you can say the company exactly has seen a pattern that MBA grads from certain colleges, typically tier 1 colleges, perform much better than non-MBA grads in that particular product role, because the product role requires a lot of heavy duty strategy more than anything else. And that is much better coming from a tier 1 college. Okay. Thankfully, this trend is reducing a lot, but it is still there. And and because these companies are very popular companies, these are companies where everybody wants to get into. And so when you see those JDs and you see those labels coming in, preferred, required, blah, 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 you might feel that by ye nahi karenge to I'll not be able to get a decent job in future in these companies. Now, do realize that these companies are also evolving. So their requirements are changing, their criteria are changing of who they're looking for, who they're not looking for, number one. Number two, then there are a bunch of companies who say MBA is preferred for a PM role. Okay. Fundamentally, in India, product management has become mainstream only in the last couple of years. Okay. Prior to that, product management as a role was delegated or relegated to companies who had a lot of cash, which is typically Series B onwards. So earlier it was Series C onwards, then it becomes Series B onwards, then becomes Series A onwards, now even C. So youngest to youngest companies are also looking for product managers as early as possible in their journey. Okay. So, so they say preferred simply because they do not know how else to filter, select, or proxy a candidate for PM. Right? They are unlike engineering and unlike design, where it's a very tangible outcome, right? You want to find a designer, look at his work or her work, and you can at least get a ballpark that okay, this person is this good. How do you assess a PM? What do? How do you assess a PM? Right? A product got shipped, but it's very hard, right? Especially for somebody who has not yet shipped the product, which is why MBA gets used as a proxy a lot of times. That's number two reason why you will see that in the resume. Trust me, all the companies who are looking for MBA as a optional preference, they are actually looking for you to give a certain proof of your skill set, more or less. If you can prove that, they're more than happy to waive that off. That's number two. And number three, which is the funniest of lot, a lot of companies say this, that they need MBA simply because they're copy pasting the JDs from other companies. Right? It's that's the reality in India. A lot of JDs simply get copy pasted from here and there. Okay. So which is why if somebody else, somebody more, if I'm in health tech and a company which is and I'm in Series A, a company which is doing Series C, they have put this up in their PM JD. I'll just copy paste and I'll put my also requirement. They're asking for it, I'll also ask for it. That's what happens a lot of times, which is why this funda has been propagated. Doing an MBA may help, may not help. It squarely depends on which company, which role you're going for. Thankfully, that overall requirement is depleting year on year on an exponential rate. It's decaying very fast. Okay, so not so short answer for. Okay, so let me do one thing. I think because time also is we have covered about good amount of points. It's time to let the audience ask questions. Shrikant has a very good question. Is it too late to get into a PM role for a person with 9 years of BD? I don't know what is KAM experience. But
Key account management.
Key account management. Okay. I'm a non-engineer having completed PG Diploma from IT. So he's an MBA grad who is into BD KAM past 9 years. So is it too late?
Definitely not. It's not too late. I mean, in the end, you have to be clear why you want to do it. Just don't do it because it becomes the most popular domain or job requirement. But see if in your current role, in your current company, you're able to get exposed to some product-related tasks, if not exact product management role. So as I said, I also had a gradual shift. It's not like I suddenly pivoted from sales to product. It was over time, role by role. From pure play front key account management, I also did. At least I did it about 8, 9 years ago. Then I moved into a company which is more on the strategy side, marketing strategy and all. And then I moved into a role which was like programmatic program management and product strategy. So sometimes it's gradual. Sometimes accelerants programs like pragmatic help or an MBA also help if you want to do a double MBA. But nothing is impossible. But first, you need to figure out why you want to get into the role and it will make sense for you personally. Because as I said, there are certain skill sets that are required. So the good thing is that you would have a lot of people skill sets. When I say people, process, and product, people, you will have a big check mark because you're already in the BD side of things. You'll be comfortable with talking to people and in high pressure situations as well. Now, when it comes to process and product mindset is where you'll have to build those skills, and do you have an inclination and interest also? Because a lot of times people realize, oh यार ये तो बहुत ज्यादा है, इससे better तो मैं जाकर किसी client को माल बेच देता हूँ. It's more simpler than creating something. Is simpler sometimes to just sell the product than creating the product. So figure that out, and then accordingly take a decision. You want to use an accelerant, or do you want to do self-study? Anything is possible. I have moved from, if you look at my LinkedIn, my first job was in finance, my second job was in sales, and I after a few years it became into marketing, strategy, and then product management. So I have moved a lot in my career, and I have far higher experience right now than you, and as I can tell you clearly, nothing is impossible as long as you have a plan in place.
Yeah, I think 9 years of BD would have given you a lot of, like Akshay rightly said, a lot of people skills as well as high pressure situations, as well as being able to solve issues, or customers typically will give you their problem, they'll dump their problem that, hey, I have this. Can your product solve this? And then you have to put those things together. Sometimes you will work with product managers that, hey, my customer is asking for this, is it possible? And so on and so forth.
Correct.
So that helps a lot. Okay, there's another question. And sorry, Srikanth, by the way, 9 years, there are people who have transitioned after 13 years, 15 years as well. Right? If the product management role has come in right now, that is not your problem, and that is not my problem. Companies there require people like you and people like Akshay. And so why to let them handle?
In fact, pivoting back to his point, there are some companies who are their products are very sales driven in the sense. I'm quoting some examples here. It could be a company which has a CRM software, for example, or it's selling a solution, right? And it's very sales driven product. So sometimes it's these companies would prefer people who have an understanding of what consumers want and be able to articulate those problems easily, and that can work in a favor. So in the end, you also have to inculcate skills of storytelling and figure out pieces in your story which make sense for where you want to go, and focus on that, and obviously keep on improving that area and make it more tangible, so that when you do your interviews, it's easy for you to express, yeah, I might have not done direct product experience, but indirectly I've done a lot of things which are very similar. And trust me, I meet so many potential product management students, whether it's in my MBA or whether it be outside, who have done a lot of product management. They don't realize that they've done product management because they haven't really worked under the structure or the hierarchy of a product management. So that's why entrepreneurs always find it easier to move into product management, because by definition, entrepreneur is a product manager, because that's his job to work on creating a product and to make it marketable and sellable and develop it and solve customer issues. He's anyways doing all the stuff that a product manager does. It's just that he's not in the hierarchy or the framework of product management. So don't worry. I mean, it's possible.
I'll just add one line here. Basically, do not disregard where you're coming from. So if you have past experience as BD, try to identify what skill sets, what experiences, what resume points can you gather from your past experience. Do not demean it. Do not disregard it. Use it as from the point of strength that I did this and I did this very well. And because of these few things, I figured that product management is the way for me. And so I'm here interviewing. Ujjwal has a question which I'll pick up, and Manish will come to your question in a bit. So Ujjwal has a question: does any certification, that is CPM, or I don't know what CPM is, or pragmatic
certified product manager,
or pragmatic help to hone PM skills post working as a PM to progress forward, of course, or since you're already working as a PM, they have diminishing returns or no returns. So well, it depends, right? So I don't know what a CPM is, but at Pragmatic, we do have a specific program designed for people who only have PM experience. So which is the Executive Diploma Program. It is meant for people who have some product experience, but they got to that point accidentally and they do not have a very structured approach towards product management. which they have started experiencing when they started interviewing at other companies. They started interviewing and they figured that, यार क्या पूछ रहा है मुझसे, कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, मैंने तो बेस्ट आंसर दिया था बट रिजेक्ट हो गया, सेकंड राउंड में भी नहीं गया, ऐसा कैसा हो गया, right? And so after a few rounds you are baffled at what's going on really, right? I'm not that bad a PM, I guess, or at least I believed so. So that could be one scenario. Second scenario is you're clearly you're already aware that there are people in your company itself who are doing far better PM than what you are doing, and so on. So there will be a bunch of realizations, which is where EDPM kind of kicks in, and we designed this program actually only after 2 years of our existence, when students started coming back saying that, hey, now we want to get into a AVP, VP, SVP, CPO level position. And clearly now I'm figuring out that as a product leader, being a product leader and being a product manager are different ball games, right? And we need that kind of hand holding, and which is where the EDPM kind of program comes in. See, with us, I can't speak for anybody else, but for us, we design programs which are outcome focused, which is why we don't talk about our certifications. We don't say that take the certificate and you will be you have this magic wand and that will change your world. Sorry, I have an IT Bombay degree and I can't even say that about that. Right? So no certification as such in today's, and for sure this decade is going to be about that. No certification is worth its salt. They will open the doors, but beyond that, you have to prove your skills. Okay.
Yeah.
Our program is designed to hone that, work on your skills, ensure that you get the outcome, that is placements. Usually people come for placements, come for career upgradation. Our focus is on that, right? So from that perspective, you'll get the returns that you're coming in for if you're coming in.
I can also add a point to this that there are also different types of product managers. I mean, and Talendra has been saying this a couple of times already in the session, that product management as a field is also relatively new. So unlike a marketing field or maybe a finance field where a lot of things have been cemented over time, and this is what a marketer does, this is what a finance guy does, product management might be cementing hua nahi hai. Everything is quite fluid, and that's why a lot of people accidentally become product managers, and of course they build those skill sets over time, but what gets them here might not get them here, and that is where an accelerant is required. So, and that's the reason I also did an EMBA, right? I mean, I realized that I'm here. It's not like I was not working, and after a decade I chose to do an MBA. I was already working, I was getting a salary, but I knew that what got me here might not get me there, and that is why you need an accelerant. And that's why you should always invest in yourself through programs, and that's where you will always accelerate. And this is not going to be the only time in your life you're going to do it. Probably another 10 years later, you will have to do it again.
Right.
so
it's very similar to, I think it's very similar to, because we're on this topic, it's very similar to how the turnaround time or the churn of your devices has changed. Earlier, the device would run for 10 years, but TV will run for 20 years. Like I'm sure all of us have a TV at home, which has been running since 20 years, 30 years, right? Or a fridge, which has been running since donkey's years. But nowadays, you'll turn a TV in 5 years. You'll turn a computer in 5 years. नहीं तो पहले तो कंप्यूटर जब तक बोल नहीं जाता था, तब तक हाथ नहीं जोड़ लेता, तब तक आप चलाते थे कंप्यूटर, right? Same goes for career also. The speed of change is much higher, and so you will require that those changes much faster. You may or may not require a program. That of course depends on very specific cases and how you are as a person, as a learner, right? But after a point in time, most of the people require a structured course, one way or the other. So that is there. Okay.
I think as homework, everyone should read about something called growth mindset. It's something that Satya Nadella talks about, and that's what transformed Microsoft from being the behemoth what it was to much bigger behemoth now since he came in, and it'll help you understand why upskilling yourself and having that mindset of continuously learning will really help you in your careers.
It's much needed, yeah. People are becoming obsolete before you can know it. I talk to people. I talk to a ton of people every day. Right, that is what we do. I try to identify candidates who need help and of course who need help from us and who can help themselves. They just need some guidance, right? I talk to people who have 10 years of experience, 20 years of experience, 15 years of experience, 5 years of experience, and it's very like you don't even realize when you will become the next Kodak or next BlackBerry.
Correct. Very well said.
Right, you are at the top of your field and you're like nothing can touch me. And few years in, and you're like, what the hell are my juniors talking about? And no idea.
Metaverse comes in, and NFTs come in, and you're like, "ये क्या हो रहा है?"
कुछ भी चल रहा है. Anyway,
Correct.
so few more questions. There are three. Okay, there are a bunch of more questions. Okay, let's run through them quickly. So Manish has a question: what sort of tech skills that an entry level PM APM require? Entry level. Will the requirement change based on product and company? I'll answer this. So the second question: will the requirement change based on the product and company? Yes and no. There are few specific companies. Okay, not specific, but there are few companies who are very technology driven in the sense their product is their technology product. For example, Razorpay. Razorpay is an API based payment gateway, right? If you look at the four words that I use, API based payment gateway, it is screaming technology. It says basically we're a technology company, we make technology product, right? So if you were trying to be a PM or APM in that company, there's a good chance you will have to be proficient with technology and how systems work. Okay, I said good chance simply because now Razorpay is a very big company, so they also have business facing or client facing products, and they also have core technology, which is also sometimes called platform services. So they have platform services like the infrastructure which runs the payments and everything else. So depending on which area do you want to, what your skill set is and where do you want to get to, you can join a very deep technology company with very less technology skills as well. But as you can imagine, those roles are going to be fewer. And once you get in, most of the PMs around and most of the engineers around are going to expect a certain kind of benchmark from you in terms of when I'm saying that, okay, this GET request is not resolving itself, it's throwing XYZ error. You do not have to ask, excuse me, what is that GET response? You should not be asking that question back, right? That's basically where it's coming from. Thankfully, such companies are lesser. There are a large number of companies who do not require very heavy duty technology skill sets. Having said that, expectation is never to be able to code, be able to run, automated testing and regression testing and this and that. That is not the expectation. The key expectation from you is to be able to drive the right strategy ahead, take the right decision at the right time, and be able to get the work done from the right people. That's the expectation. So for an entry-level PM and APM, you should be aware how systems work. This basically means nowadays you should know how mobile apps work, how authentication works, how search works, how APIs work. What are the different request parameters, what are the different type of request parameters, and so on. You need to know at least these things, basic. If you know this, you are kind of sorted. You will be able to talk, at least be able to talk in the right language. But this, like I said, this depends on whether you're applying for platform services product or Razorpay, in which case you need much more than this, or you're applying to be a e-commerce PM where your user empathy and those fundamentals are much more pronounced, those are much more required than your ability to understand the technology behind e-commerce stores. E-commerce stores of today, if 10 years back, 15 years back, if you were trying to join Flipkart, you would be expected to be much more technical because at that time those technologies were in their very early stage. So a PM was required there to be technical enough. That's Manish's question. Sarthak has a couple of questions. As a product manager, do you plan to always work in a startup environment as you get exposure to autonomy and learn a lot? Also, which well-established company do you wish to work with and why? Actually, I think this question is for you.
So, I don't know about the plan, but definitely it makes a lot of sense, as I said, to join. So there are different types of startups. There are startups who are like early stage, who might just be building a product. There will be startups who would have had some success with a minimum product that they have launched with. And then there'll be startups who have already established themselves, maybe have already got a series of round of funding also. These are all startups in their own way because they're still building big products, right? You would still consider a Nykaa or a Myntra a startup, right? You won't call them established company right now. So these places are helpful for you to grow as a PM because you learn a lot. You learn by observing, learn by participating. So I would personally, obviously, now at the stage in life that I am, I would obviously work more in mid-range startups. But someone who's starting would should definitely start at people who have maybe just got the MVP out, or they have at an early stage startup have just got their first round of funding. If you can, I would always recommend that, because then you'll get opportunities to work on a lot of projects. As I said, I got lucky. Even with a startup like Magic Bricks, I got to work on a lot of new projects only. I hardly worked on the core platform itself. I primarily worked on verticals which were revamps or or launches, like new horizontal business lines. So that gave me a lot of, it really opened my eyes. And so one day I was acting like a PM, another day I also was acting like a sales guy, a third day I was acting like a marketing guy. It really gave me a lot of hats to work on. And that obviously knowledge will help me in my future career. And so definitely my recommendation is that if I ever want to retire as a product manager, I want to retire maybe from a large company like Google. But that just looks good when you look at it from far. I don't know is going to be fun to work in a Google or to continue working in the startupish culture. It's very difficult to imagine it right now because I'm not in that mindset. I don't want to retire right now, too early. So, I mean, yeah, maybe I wish I could work in Google someday, but right now I'm having fun where I am.
I think the one little thing I would like to add here is Sarthak, because you're just beginning your PM journey. I think the key thing here is whether you're working in a 2 people company or whether you're working in a 2,000 people company. Uh, Ultimately, there's going to be a small set of people you'll be working very closely with, right? So try to work in those companies, especially in the early stages, where you can get the right guidance or for example, if a 2 people company, mostly there's one founder and one PM, assuming that, right? Then make sure that the founder is somebody who can guide you, who has a very strong product sense, has right product ability, etc. Is able to guide you in the right manner. That is what will matter. So in whether it's a very large company, I've worked in a very large company as well. I've worked in very, very small companies also. Ultimately, it comes down to the immediate circle of people that you'll be working with. If those are inspiring and those are guiding in the right way, you will continue to progress and you'll be able to show that in your career trajectory. And if you do not get the right people around you, irrespective of the company you are in, you will be constantly niggled with infighting. मैंने नहीं किया क्योंकि उसने नहीं किया क्योंकि उसने ये नहीं बताया उसने फलाना नहीं किया. That is what happens. So if you get a very positive team, then nothing stops you. Right? Then there's a question.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Akansha has a very good question. What channels can I use to get hands-on experience as product manager? Hands-on means projects or freelance experience as product manager. If I'm not employed right now, Akansha, you can apply to be an intern at Pragmatic on a very serious note. We do keep looking for exciting people to work with, and we do have a bunch of product projects. Yeah, that's one way. You can also look for internships using platforms like Internshala and similar. You can also reach out to some founders like me who can pass on your resume in our founder circles and get some projects right from there. Apart from this, if you do not want to do any of these, or you're not in a position to do any of these, that is also possible. In that case, my recommendation is if you are a product thinker, if you are somebody with product mindset, try to identify opportunities around you where you can apply your mindset. For example, you're using Zoom right now. Can you identify issues in Zoom, the entire experience of working in Zoom or using Zoom for this conversation? Are you able to identify any issues? Do you think Zoom is perfect? I definitely don't think so. And I have a bunch of reasons for that. Can you think of your own reasons? If yes, you're onto something. Use that, document it, try to validate it, invalidate it, do some surveys, do some questions, asking around a bunch of these things, document it, publish it out. Whether it's one person who reads it or 2 people read it or 10 people read it, once you publish something, trust me, because it's your name attached to it, you would have done your work properly. Yeah. And that will teach you a lot of things. It will give you the confidence required. Eventually, eventually that will be seen by the recruiters where you will be applying that, hey, I'm a product person. I believe I'm a product person. Here's my resume, and here's my proof of work. Here are a bunch of articles that I've written where I have improved upon Zoom. I've improved upon Google Maps. I've improved upon WhatsApp, etc. etc. That's one way. In fact, this is the way a lot of designers also showcase their skill set, right? A lot of designers will pick up a certain interface and say, this is my version of what Facebook would look like.
Yeah.
A lot of musicians also do the same thing. This is my version of what a song will look like. So this is another direction that you can take. Next question.
Isn't that tried and tested, by the way? Whatever Talvinder is saying is tried and tested, and people have succeeded. And there are innumerable examples across LinkedIn or other social media platforms where success stories exist like this. So
in
it's
our
not.
case also, yeah, in our student network also, the people we have been teaching or taught, 100% of students who have followed this have succeeded.
Yeah.
They needed guidance. They needed support in what topic to talk about, how to write, what is deep enough, what is not deep, what is shallow, am I presenting my thoughts correctly, etc. They needed that guidance. But everybody who did this succeeded. I can't say the same for people who didn't do this. That's how powerful it is. But anyway, Pranay has a question which I think Akshey will direct to you. I'm a software engineer working in Yardi Software since 2 years and dedicated to working on vendor cafe product. I'm not sure what that means. Vendor cafe product helping global clients and solution providing and have a very good grasp over the 90% functional part of that specific product. How feasible it would be for me to apply for a PM role for a different organization for a different product?
I mean, you are much closer to product than I was. You are already on the tech side, and you understand how the why a function has been built for what reason. If as a tech engineer you really drill down and understand this requirement, and you or yourself also suggest features and that get built, you're already doing work like a product manager. You already are de facto product manager. So you're closer to it than I was at current situation. So definitely, that's why when you are structuring a resume, your LinkedIn, focus on all these aspects. Where have you added value? What impact did that value have? I'm sure everyone knows about the Amazon Star Principle. If not, please look up innumerable YouTube videos on Amazon Star Principle and how to use that as a way to make your resume like a superstar. And talk about it. Like you've worked on this feature, you researched this. This is the impact that it came, and that's what recruiters want to know. And trust me, product managers who are not domain, industry agnostic are always more successful because they can be fit anywhere. And it's always good to try different things because then you get a more rounded learning. Today you're working on a B2B product. Tomorrow you're on a B2C. Day after, a couple of years later you're on a B2B2C product. Sometimes you're net tech, sometimes you're nat tech, sometimes you're in a classified. Take a more rounded experience. Trust me, you will be a far better, product leader in the long run.
Okay. So just to add on to what Akshey said, there are two ways for you. If you have a good grasp over, so first of all, I don't know what product is this. If this product is a very generic product or a product that has a little more generic application, for example, if you have worked in a ad tech product, which is very similar to a bunch of other ad tech products, or worked on a payment platform, or worked on a e-commerce store, right? So if you worked on an e-commerce store, the fund days or underlying fund days are very common across all the e-commerce stores, right? So now you don't have to say that, okay, I'm an e-commerce expert in health tech. So, right? Rather, you can generalize yourself saying that I'm an e-commerce expert. I'm not domain specific, right? And that expands your target audience.
Or a marketplace expert.
Right, or a marketplace expert, exactly. So if you want to move to a different product altogether, different organization, then you have to elevate yourself away from the product, just like because you're an engineer, I'll talk in your language. So you have to go from a DSL, domain specific language, to a GSL, which is general, GSL, general specific language. It's not GSL, it's something else, but it's a general language like Python, right? You want to go from that stage, from being very domain specific, who is only applicable to one thing, elevate yourself to a much more generic product manager whose fund days are agnostic to domain, and this way you'll be able to prove that you are worth your time. One other advice, because you're a software engineer, try to be a TPM somewhere else, technology product manager. Okay, instead of being a product manager. There are fewer people out there who have strong understanding of technology along with product management. There are fewer people. So if you, given that you're a software engineer and you will retain some of those skills for at least for the next few years, it's best that you try to be a TPM in one of the technology companies and then go from there. TPMs get better salaries also, plus you'll be able to specialize as a slightly more valuable product manager. That's my answer. Sejal has a question. Sejal is a multitasker. How is price factor established in your AdTech other than feature deliverables?
It's a bit tough to answer here on open forum for me. So I will avoid this because this will be the core product discussion. I don't want to really get into that when I'm advising a lot of PMs in a more generalistic capacity. Sejal, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn directly and we can always have a chat.
So that covers pretty much all the questions that were asked here. Did I miss out on anything? No, I think everything gets covered. Broadly, to summarize a lot of these things, and I'm also not very sure the background of all of you, but to summarize in general, you would want to, you fall in the three buckets, I believe, most of you. Either you are somebody who's looking into the world of product management and figuring out, should I do this? And will it be worth it? Itna time lagaunga, paisa lagaunga, jo bhi karunga, right? This is one bucket. Second bucket is you are already a PM, but you are unsure if you are a good PM and can I continue doing this? Can I get better? Can I be in a very aspirational company, and how soon can I be? इसी में एक थर्ड क्वेश्चन भी आता है कि इसमें एक थोड़ा सा सब क्वेश्चन भी आता है कि can I move abroad? Can I go to Dubai? Can I be in a US based company or something similar? Associate question for existing PMs. And the third is कि okay, I've been doing PM since some time, but I'm just not able to elevate myself, right? I'm just not able to get somewhere else. In a nutshell, I think it comes down to few factors for all three of you. Look at your backend, that is, look at your career that you have gone through, identify the strengths from each one of them, identify the domain that you are most comfortable, confident about, identify the kind of people you want to work with, and maybe the domain, and maybe the aspect of product management that you like. So some people really like design, for instance. Some people really like technology. So design se mera matlab hai solving design problems more than technology behind it. And some people prefer the technology wala angle more than design. And some people like strategy much more than design and technology, right? They want to come up with really strong strategic solutions. So identify where do you lie, where do you find an inclination for. Use that to craft your resume. Use that to craft your profile. And use that to create your portfolio. This is something that I've been repeating, and I think I'll keep repeating. There are three things that you need to up your career, irrespective of whether you are transitioning or you're upskilling. You'll need a resume, which is proof of achievements. It's a list of proof of achievements, not your KRA, list of KRA. It's not a list of KRA. A good resume is proof of achievements. It should give enough reasons for a recruiter to call you in for a chat. That ये बंदा है कौन, किया कैसे इसने? It's a list of Times of India के headlines, basically. Okay, nothing else. Number two is your LinkedIn profile. Or actually, let me put that aside. I'll give a little more generic term for it, which is networking or network. Your network that you can base yourself on. Your network is a proof of credibility. Don't trust me, trust Akshay. Right? So what does that mean? It means that I am piggybacking on somebody else's credibility, which is exactly what when Akshay says that I am capable of so and so, straight out of MBA, people are trusting the brand behind it, which is ISB. Right? that okay, if Akshay is from ISB, I can trust ISB more than maybe Akshay right now. Yeah, that's proof of credibility. So build your network, please. Please build your network. If you don't have one, try to find one. If you still don't get one, and maybe if you are fitting into our program, join our program, we will help you build one. And number three is a portfolio, which is proof of work. Proof of work is going to be the most impactful for you to get into the next role or upskill that you want. Proof of work is essentially you giving ample evidences that I can do what I'm claiming. And here is a bunch of evidences. So if you can do these three things for whatever upskilling that you want, you'll be in a very, very good shape. At this point, I'll invite one last question, if there is one.
I think we have answered everyone's question.
We have stunned everybody with our answers.
I would like to say something as closing statement if there's no other questions. This decade that we are now in right now, the 2022 to let's say 2030 decade and further on, is going to be far different from the decades that have come in the past. We are entering into the metaverse decade, the NFT decade, the blockchain decade, right? And a lot of roles will become redundant, but a lot of roles like product management will become far more important because someone is required to build these things, right? Whether it be the metaverse or NFTs or blockchains or any other companies in the tech universe. Definitely, if you are interested, and as I said, people, products, and process is something you align with and you feel you have the skill sets or you can build those skill sets because you're really passionate about getting into this role, you should definitely do it. It will definitely help you in the long run because we all are going to become obsolete every few years, and we all have to work on upskilling ourselves on our own or join accelerated programs like Pragmatic or ISV. So figure that out for yourself as a personal decision, but sooner or later that decision will be made for you. And you will realize that when colleagues move further than you, or you see certain departments getting higher hikes than you will see those changes, and you will see that when layoffs happen, certain departments are not touched versus others which are highly impacted. This change is happening. We are seeing it in older organizations. When I call older, I mean maybe 20 years older organizations, the larger behemoths face these challenges. Whenever a dip happens, you see certain fields suddenly becoming wiped out, and certain departments are always there. So figure yourself out. We are all coming in a change, and let's be part of this change. And this is a far rewarding experience in your career. And if you take the right decision at the right time, definitely we'll all come out winners. That's all from my side. I'm happy to connect with anybody on LinkedIn if they ever want to reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akshay. I think there's a bunch of wise words. I hope everybody has taken good notes here. Thank you everybody for joining in and for staying long. If there are questions that were a little more personal and you didn't want to ask in this common forum, feel free to reach out to me or to Akshay or to both of us and get a heads up. Number one. Number two, the programs that we have been running, our approach is very, very simple. We do not take everyone. And number two, we also prefer to give you exact, accurate guidance on whether the program is going to work for you or not. Given that we run pay after placement programs and we're the only ones who do that, there's a certain responsibility on your career that we choose to take on. And which is why we try to give you as clear, as exact guidance as possible. If you feel like talking to me, we'll be happy to chat and give you what we have observed. I do not have answers to everything, but I have seen too many students now, so I can tell you based on my collective data points that I have. So it's much more data-driven advice than anything else anymore. So with that note, thank you everyone. Have a good Sunday, whatever is left of it. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Akshay. Thank you for your wise words.
Thanks, Ananda, for inviting me. Good night, everyone.
Good night.